A small Chinese startup just proved that you don't need billions of dollars to build world-class AI. DeepSeek shattered Silicon Valley's playbook, creating an AI model that rivals ChatGPT for just $6 million, while OpenAI spent over 100 times that amount. The shockwaves hit India like a lightning bolt. Within 10 days, the Indian government launched the most aggressive AI push in the nation's history. With 22 languages, 1.3 billion people, and a $12 billion war chest, India is now racing to build its own AI empire. But can they actually pull it off? Let's dive in. But before we dive into India's response, let's understand what exactly shook the entire tech industry to its core. When DeepSeek R1 launched in January 2025, it didn't just surprise the tech world, it completely rewrote the rules. This Chinese startup had achieved something that seemed impossible, building an AI model that could match OpenAI's performance using just 2,000 older GPUs instead of 100,000 cutting-edge ones. The cost difference was staggering, $6 million versus hundreds of millions. For India's tech leaders, this was both inspiration and embarrassment. 20-year-old Aditya Kalavi from Cognitive Labs saw opportunity. If DeepSeek could do it, why not us? But for veterans like Abhishek Upperwal, whose Pragna 1B model had struggled with tiny grants, it was bittersweet validation. If we had been funded 2 years ago, there's a good chance we'd be the ones building what DeepSeek just released, he reflected. The Indian government's response was unprecedented in its speed and scale. Just 10 days after DeepSeek's launch, the Ministry of Electronics solicited proposals for India's own foundation models. The message was clear. The era of just talking about AI was over. Suddenly, nearly 19,000 GPUs were made available at subsidized rates, triggering a surge of innovation proposals. Within 2 weeks, 7 companies had submitted plans. By March, that number had tripled to over 200. This wasn't just policy, it was panic transformed into purpose, marking India's most decisive moment in the global AI race. Now you might wonder, if a small Chinese startup could do it, why hasn't India, with all its tech talent, done something similar? Well, the answer lies in some truly unique obstacles. India faces AI challenges unlike any other major economy, starting with something most countries take for granted: language. While the US trains on English and China on Mandarin, India must grapple with 22 official languages and hundreds of dialects. This isn't just complexity, it's a fundamental barrier. Indian languages collectively represent less than 1% of online content, making quality training data scarce for languages like Bhojpuri and Kannada. The technical hurdles run deeper than data scarcity. Indian languages use complex scripts and agglutinative grammar, where single words pack multiple meanings through prefixes and suffixes. Standard tokenizers designed for English struggle with these structures, breaking Indian words into too many fragments and making AI models inefficient. It's like trying to understand poetry by reading individual letters. Beyond language lies a systemic problem: India's chronic underinvestment in research and development. At just 0.65% of GDP, India's R&D spending pales compared to China's 2.68% and America's 3.5%. This isn't just about money, it's about mindset. India's tech ecosystem evolved with a services-first mentality. Giants like Infosys and TCS built success on efficient software delivery, not invention. The muscle to create and commercialize deep technology was never developed. Meanwhile, India's brightest minds continue migrating abroad, drawn to ecosystems that understand and fund deep tech. World-class research exists in isolated pockets within DRDO and ISRO, but breakthroughs rarely translate to commercial applications. Unlike America's DARPA, India lacks bridges connecting risky research to market opportunities. So how exactly is India planning to overcome these massive challenges? The answer is through the most ambitious tech initiative the country has ever launched. India's response to the DeepSeek wake-up call represents the most ambitious technology initiative in the nation's history. The centerpiece is the India AI Mission, a $1.25 billion program that goes far beyond traditional government tech initiatives. This isn't just funding, it's a comprehensive ecosystem designed to compete with global AI superpowers. The mission's compute program deployed over 18,000 GPUs, including nearly 13,000 high-end H100 chips, to select Indian startups. Companies like Sarvam AI, Socket Labs, and Nani AI suddenly had access to infrastructure that previously required hundreds of millions in private investment. The government essentially democratized access to the most expensive component of AI development. Sarvam AI became the flagship project, tasked with building a 70 billion parameter model optimized for Indian languages. With access to 4,096 NVIDIA H100 GPUs for 6 months, they're creating what could become India's answer to ChatGPT. The government plans 6 large-scale models by end of 2025, plus 18 specialized applications for agriculture, education, and climate action. But the vision extends beyond models. The mission includes a national multilingual dataset repository, AI labs in smaller cities, and deep tech R&D funding. The broader goal is creating an AI stack grounded in Indian linguistic and cultural realities while serving the global South. According to Abhishek Singh of India AI, this effort expects to catalyze $12 billion in research and development investment over 5 years, with $9.9 billion coming from private and international sources. It's nation-building through neural networks. But here's the exciting part. While the government is building this massive infrastructure, Indian innovators aren't waiting around. They're already creating some pretty incredible solutions. Despite resource constraints, Indian developers are proving that innovation often thrives under pressure. Take Abhishek Upperwal's breakthrough with balanced tokenization, a technique that made his 1.25 billion parameter Pragna 1B model perform like a 7 billion parameter 1. By solving how AI handles Indian language's complex grammar structures, he demonstrated that smart engineering could overcome hardware limitations. Sarvam AI has created OpenAI v0.1, one of the largest open-source Hindi models, trained on 40 billion tokens of Indian language content. Meanwhile, CrewTrim 2 is attempting something even more ambitious. A 12 billion parameter model optimized for English and all 22 Indian languages simultaneously. These aren't just technical achievements, they're cultural preservation through artificial intelligence. The infrastructure advantages are becoming apparent. Building hyperscale data centers in India costs about $5 million, roughly half the price in the US or Europe. This advantage comes from affordable land, lower construction costs, and a large pool of skilled engineers. Companies like Reliance are building what could become the world's largest data center in Gujarat. However, challenges persist. Sarvam's recent model launch saw only 300 downloads in its first 2 days, highlighting the gap between technical capability and market adoption. Many developers still lack easy GPU access, and the ecosystem for Indian language AI applications remains nascent. The debate over open versus closed models continues, with critics arguing that publicly funded models should be freely available. Success stories exist, but they're still islands of innovation in an ocean of potential. What do you think about India's chances in the global AI race? Can a nation with 22 languages and limited resources really compete with Silicon Valley's billions and China's state-backed giants? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. If you found this deep dive into India's AI strategy fascinating, smash that subscribe button because we're covering the biggest tech geopolitics stories shaping our world. Next week, we're exploring how the US is responding to the DeepSeek challenge and what it means for the future of American tech dominance. Hit the bell icon so you don't miss it.